Hideaway Puppy. Skedaddle sat on the front steps of the big white house where he lived, with Donnie and Donnie's mother and Daddy. He looked very cross as a fuzzy puppy could possibly look. Shucks, Skedaddle said to himself. How did I know Donnie would mind if I chewed a little bit on his new rubber ball? Daddy, have you seen Skedaddle? He heard Donnie ask inside the house. No, son, I haven't, Donnie's dad answered. Not since I gave him a little spank when I found him playing with one of my slippers. He is probably hiding away someplace. I think he ran out the front door after I scolded him for dragging my knitting around on the floor, Donnie's mother said. They are all cross at me, Skedaddle said to himself. Everyone is mad at me, and I am mad at everyone. I think I'll run away. Down the steps scurried Skedaddle, across the lawn and into the garden. Donnie came out of the door just in time to see the white tip of his tail disappear around the corner of the house. He ran after Skedaddle as fast as he could, but he couldn't see him anywhere. He looked behind the tool shed. He looked among the hollyhocks. He looked inside the curled-up hose. What's the matter, Donnie? Daddy asked. As he came out the back door, Skedaddle ran out here, but I can't find him anywhere. Such a hideaway puppy, Daddy exclaimed. I'll help you look for him. Daddy looked for Skedaddle behind the big rake. He looked for him inside the wheelbarrow. He looked for him in the pile of freshly cut grass, but he couldn't find him anywhere. Mother came out to help look, too, but she couldn't find him either. When he gets hungry, he'll come scratching at the door, said Mother. Let's go into the house and leave him alone. All the while, Skedaddle was hiding away right there in the garden. You look now. See if you can find where he is. Skedaddle waited quite a while before he came out from under a big leaf in the cabbage patch at the end of the garden. Now is a good chance to run away, he said to himself. He squeezed under the back fence and started down the alley. What is it that smells so good? Skedaddle asked himself. I guess I am hungry. He followed the smell to a little green house at the end of the alley. Miss Figgy lived in the little green house. She was always baking something delicious. She enjoyed having her neighbours in for tea. This afternoon, Miss Figgy and her friend Polly Plimpton were sitting in Miss Figgy's sunny little kitchen, waiting for the tea to brew. I'll get you some of my gooseberry jam, Polly, said Miss Figgy. You like it so much. She unlocked the door to her dark little storeroom and went in to get the jam. She didn't notice that Skedaddle had walked through the open door of her little greenhouse and, when she opened the storeroom, had run inside to hide. Miss Figgy came out and locked the door. Here you are, she said, helping Miss Plimpton to the large spoonful of jam. Now I'll pour the tea. But suddenly Miss Figgy stopped to listen. There was a scratching noise inside the storage closet. What is that noise? She asked nervously. A mouse, screeched Miss Plimpton. Nonsense, snapped Miss Figgy. There's not a mouse in my house. Hasn't been for years. But there is something inside that closet. I am going to call the police. Soon they could hear the police siren in the distance. Before long, a shiny black police car drew up at the door. Out jumped two policemen. What's the matter? Asked the big policeman. There is something in my closet, said Miss Figgy. Some terrible creature, I am sure. Here is the key. Stand back, ordered the big policeman. Carefully he unlocked the door and pushed it open. Swish! Out scrambled Skedaddle. Miss Figgy screamed. The big policeman tripped over a rug and fell. The little policeman tripped over the big policeman and fell too. By the time they were up and after Skedaddle, he was out the door, down the street, and into the first open door he could find. It led into a supermarket. This is a wonderful place to hide away in, thought Skedaddle, and he did just that. Now, we have him cornered, said the big policeman. Come along. Into the grocery they ran. What's the matter? Asked the manager, running up. We chased a dog in here, said the policeman. They all looked everywhere for Skedaddle. They looked behind the cracker boxes. They looked among the potato sacks. They looked in the apple barrel. They couldn't find him anywhere. Meanwhile, Skedaddle was hiding away not far from the very places where they were looking for him. See if you can find where he is hiding. Aha! Yelled the little policeman at last. There he is, behind that big broom in the corner. I see his tail sticking out. Whee! Out rushed Skedaddle. Down the aisle, across the floor. He skittered and out the door. The policeman probably never would have caught him, except that, in his hurry, he tripped over the high door sill. He skidded across the sidewalk and smash into a brick wall. Ouch! Squealed Skedaddle. Got him! Shouted the big policeman. He grabbed Skedaddle by the back of the neck and started for the police car. What are you going to do with him? Asked the little policeman. I know exactly what I'm going to do with him, said the big policeman. Look, here comes Jolly Joe in his truck. The policeman waved his club, and a big green truck drew up to the curb. On its sides were printed 2 words, Animal Shelter. Got something for you, Joe, said the big policeman. Good enough, said Jolly Joe. Just put him in here. Jolly Joe unlocked the wire gate at the back of his truck. The policeman popped Skedaddle inside. The big truck rattled off down the street, with poor Skedaddle looking sadly out the back. At the animal shelter, Skedaddle was taken out of the truck and put into a yard full of dogs. There were dogs of all sizes and shapes and colours. Skedaddle had never seen so many dogs. Some of them sniffed at him, some of them barked at him, and some of them growled. I am going to find the best hideaway place I have ever had and get into it, Skedaddle said to himself, and he did just that. In the meantime, Donny and his mother and Daddy were waiting for Skedaddle to come scratching at the door, but, of course, he didn't. Dinner time came and went, and still he didn't come. It's getting late, Daddy, said Donny. If Skedaddle stays out all night in the dark? Donny couldn't say anything more, for although he was a big boy for 5 and very brave, he was almost crying. Not really, but almost. I tell you what we'll do, son, Daddy said. The animal shelter is right down at the end of our street. Let's go and see if someone has taken Skedaddle there. He winked at Mother. And if Skedaddle isn't there, said Mother, maybe there is another puppy that would like to come and live with us. She winked at Daddy. But I don't want another puppy, said Donny. I want Skedaddle. Well, let's go and see, said Daddy. Have you any stray dogs? Daddy asked Jolly Joe at the animal shelter. Have we? Laughed Jolly Joe. Millions of them. He led Daddy and Donny out to the big yard full of dogs. Daddy and Donny stood looking through the wire fence. I don't see Skedaddle anywhere, son, said Daddy, but there is a nice puppy right over there. But I don't want him, said Donny. I want Skedaddle. Skedaddle is a puppy he just lost, Daddy explained to Jolly Joe. I guess he ran away. What did he look like? Jolly Joe asked. Round like a ball, said Donny, and yellow and fuzzy, and he had a cute floppy ears and a little curly tail, and I want him. Why, I think we have him right here, said Jolly Joe. I brought him in just this afternoon. Now, let's see. He looked over the yard full of dogs. That's funny, he said. I put him in here myself, not over an hour ago. He seems to have disappeared. Jolly Joe looked very hard, but he couldn't see Skedaddle anywhere. Donny looked, and so did Daddy. You look too, and see if you can help Donny find Skedaddle. Look very hard, and perhaps you'll be the first to find him. I see him, cried Donny at last. There he is. He's way over behind the water tank. I can just see the top of his head sticking up. Sure enough, the boy's right, said Jolly Joe, pulling Skedaddle out from his hiding place. Here you are, son. Here's your dog. When Donny and Daddy came through the kitchen door, Mother called out, Welcome home, Skedaddle! You are just in time for dinner. She set a dish of delicious puppy food down on the floor. Skedaddle ate every bit of his dinner. His little stomach began to bulge at the sides. He was so glad to be back that he wagged his curly little tail and he wiggled all over. I guess they aren't so cross with me after all, he thought. They are really very kind to me. I'll never run away again. Skedaddle went out into the hall. He didn't look at all cross as he scrambled up the long stairs and into Donny's room. I'm going to find a nice hideaway place and get into it, he said to himself. And he did just that. Skedaddle snuggled down into a furry yellow ball and went to sleep. See if you can find where Skedaddle is sleeping. Look everywhere in the room until you find him. But be careful, don't wake him up. He's a very tired little puppy. The end.